I don't know, because I can't speak for your generation, because you are a different generation than we are.
Yeah, I'm a millennial.
Yeah. So like, we're our generation. I distinctly remember a lot during like high school and during like stuff like that, where people were really like in just because social media was becoming a thing at the time.
Guys
like
were the
we
first
were the first generation where like social media was. Yeah, maybe you guys had Facebook and MySpace and stuff like that, but it was no way the same way that like it is now.
We had social media as a means to communicate with each other, and we use that as a fad. You guys have social media as a way to live your life.
Which
is a completely different way of looking at it.
Very different.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we had MySpace, and we were just like, yo, we can't wait to go home and like be on the computer and do like pick for pick.
Let me call you. Let me IM you. Like that kind of shit.
Let me IM you real quick. Let's get on AOL and like let's get. You know what I mean? Like
nothing like how it was for us.
It was purely fun. No incentives. No ads. No like almost pure in a sense.
Yeah.
And like you guys lived through social media as a means to an escape and as a means as a way to like live your life. And people have actually, I would say, negatively created a life.
Absolutely.
A digital life.
And it's become, so there's so many things have like arisen from that kind of situation, and the fact that our generation was like that. But our generation was also, so I distinctly remember, because I will consider myself being somebody, or at least was somebody, who was very impressionable. Because my mind was so confused a lot of the time, I didn't know what direction to go on. So when people led me one direction, I typically just followed. Like I didn't, and I have no shame in admitting the fact that like it was that easy for me to just, let me follow that. Let me just do whatever this is, whatever, you know. A lot of people don't like to admit the fact that they were like impressionable, because that doesn't make you sound like the best person, I guess. But it makes you sound like you can get taken advantage of. That's what it makes you sound like. And I know that when I was younger, I really could. Like I could have gotten taken advantage of, maybe a lot of times, and because it was so easy for me to just be led wherever the hell people were going. You know what I mean? Now it's much different. Now a lot of it has changed, but like, talking about it in that sense, thinking back to the time, there was a lot of talk and a lot of like it kind of became a thing where like, if you weren't in a relationship, what were you doing at 16 years old? You know what I mean? And I can say that based off of the fact that at the time, almost every single person that like dated in my high school or whatever, they're no longer together now, but they were so dead set on keeping that relationship in high school because they didn't want to be alone. Now, nobody really wants to admit that. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that it was like, well, you just didn't want to feel lonely. You know what I mean? But what are you really lonely about? You're 16 years old. So like,
but that's also the case for 25-year-olds. That's also the case for 30-year-olds.
Yes. So
people
like,
just not wanting to be. There's a lot of people that settle for relationships that they're not really in love with, and they're not really committed to, because they just don't want to feel the dreadful the existential crisis that comes with like, how do I deal with myself by myself?
But I do feel like in our generation, because social media was such a thing, it got super amplified out of nowhere. And like, maybe you guys didn't think about being alone because you were like, I have a little girlfriend.
We did though. We did. We thought about being alone, but maybe but it came from a different place.
Yeah.
If you guys anxiety came
like
from social media,
because like, for instance, I could have very well been seeing, you know, like Bree's relationships, whatever, in Chicago, and I was in Houston. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, the idea that my universe only lasted in Houston was no longer a thing. It was like all of the world, because I could see all of the world at that time. You know what I mean? It was like, I saw everything. I saw all these videos and stuff like that. Like, social media followed. I had like this moment where I followed God knows how many people from Hawaii, and they were following me back. And I was like, why? Why the hell do I want to know about these people from Hawaii? But why? Because at the time, whoever had the most followers was like the thing. So how do you do this? You know, so you would look up things to try and get more people to make it seem like you're more relevant. But like, dude, are you really that relevant? Like, you're not.
Are we really that relevant?
Yeah, like, your life is just your life. Like, nobody necessarily needs to know what the fuck you're doing.
That is true. Like, nobody needs to know. Yeah.
You put on there what you want, but there was a moment in time where I feel like it was expected for everybody to put everything on there. Like, it was expected for all of us to be like, I'm in a relationship now. I'm gonna change my Facebook thing. I'm doing this now. Look at the food. What was that meme that everybody was talking about? Or like, how all of us take pictures of our food. It's like, hey, just eat your food,
I never
bro.
jumped on that shit, bro.
So yeah, but like our generation 100% did. Like, do you know how many times I could probably go on my stories and look at the stuff that I would post about my food? Like, what is it? What is it?
I understand, because even people in my generation, I still have friends of mine, like people like high school, people older than me, people around my age, and they'll still be at like fucking Nobu in LA, or they'll be in fucking it's all the restaurants here in Houston. I'm blanking out, and they'll just be like posting pictures of their sushi and their like steaks and shit like that. And I'm like, why do I need to know that?
Yeah.
But also, I guess if you're having a good meal, good for you. Like, you know,
I was gonna say, the only time I do want to see that is if it's some like crazy type of meal. So it's like, yo, if you're posting like a tomahawk steak, like, yo, where are you getting that?
Yeah.
Not only if you're gonna post that picture, you better tag where
you going.
Where's the restaurant?
Location, please. Thanks. No, yeah. Like and for instance, and this is the thing that like our generation, specifically a lot of the girls in our generation and a lot of the guys, were kind of trickled into this idea of the influencer life.
Yeah.
Which was the idea that like we should post what we're doing and people will be interested, whatever. Yeah. So
some of the first influencers were millennials, though, for sure.
Absolutely. So like, for instance, in my case, being a part of being like a fraction of the influencer life when I did my makeup videos and stuff like that, and I got to see people wanted to know what the fuck I was doing, and I'm like, why? Like, why do you care what I'm eating today? Or like, why do you care what makeup I did today? Why do you care about all these things? But it was a thing.
People like to live vicariously through
they 100%
other people.
do.
Yes.
And not everybody's okay with posting their life a lot of the time, but I find a lot of freedom and liberty and like this weird sense of relief in knowing that you're only seeing what I want you to see. And you might think that is just me. Like I'm like letting you perceive me in this specific way.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of liberty in that because there is so many more nuances about me that you don't know, but I don't want you to know that. So I'm never going to show you that.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? And I like live knowing that. So like on my Instagram and stuff, I'll post what I want to post, and I might post every single day, but you will never know everything about me unless you're a friend of mine that actually knows me.
I find a lot of anxiety in that, actually.
In what?
Because like in the idea that somebody might perceive me a specific way because of what they see my social media as, and that not actually be me, because of the fact that like I have this idea with me being a circus artist and everything that like people have this idea of like, oh, she must be like this super like outgoing or like something like that, and then you're gonna meet me in person, you're gonna be so let down.
Yeah, people say that.
Not at all.
No, but people say that. Like, how many times have people said that about me? You're a musician. Oh, you're a guitar. Oh, you're traveling. Oh, you're used to be a professional dancer. Oh, you're a circus artist. Oh, you're a photographer. Or you're like all this stuff. And I'm just like, actually, no, bro. It's a lot of. I spend most of my day like reading and like and studying shit, then looking at films and like and working most of the time. Like you know what I mean?
It's like my life is not as like crazy as you think it is. Yeah. But I totally understand that, but I also think you guys are coming from a very different not a point of view, but a different lifestyle than my own.
I do agree with you though. Like, you should have some power. You shouldn't feel like
y'all are artists. Yeah. Y'all I don't have any sort of niche like that. Like
artists are naturally sensitive.
Yes, so well, I guess. But like
I mean, it's true. We are very sensitive about our work.
Y'all are artists in the sense that like y'all, like I may have artistry and things that I've never shown people about, like my painting, my ability to draw, my ability to do and dabble into certain things.
Yeah.
But because I'm not at all skilled in the way that you guys are, it doesn't really
it's a hobby for you.
It doesn't define me. Yeah. So I'm defining myself through my expression on social media, as opposed to you guys having these beautiful niches and these beautiful like particular things that you guys are extremely skilled at, because y'all are not just like you're mediocre skilled. Y'all have, put in your time. Y'all have put in the effort. Y'all have put in the all of the work that's taken to be there.
Yeah.
That is something that like only you know what that journey of you felt like, to hurt yourself every single time you fell from a fucking like silk rope, or every single time you got burned from this, or every single time your toe hurt from doing a particular move on whatever, you know what I mean? As opposed, and you as well, doing what you do in circus arts, like didn't I just tell you how I'm never letting you go? Because of how amazing I think a lot of the things that you do are, and like me getting to dabble in a little bit of it, I'm like, this is insane. Like you are on a whole different, because to me,
it opens your eyes a little bit.
Huh?
It opens your eyes a little bit.
Yeah, it does. 100%. Because I'm someone who has never gotten the opportunity to properly focus on something like that, or ever been really inclined to do so. Y'all doing so willingly and naturally, I think, is amazing.